सत्यं परं धीमहि। ओम सत्यं परं धीमहि। ओम सत्यं परं धीमहि। ओम सत्यं परं धीमहि। ओम सत्यं परं धीमहि।
तृणचर अनुगम श्री निकेतनम फणी फण अर्पितम ते पदम अंबुजम ते पद अंबुजम कृणु कुचेषु नः कृंदी रुच्चयम्. Your lotus feet destroy the past sins of all embodied souls who surrender to them. Those feet follow the cows in the pastures and are the eternal abode of Shri Lakshmi. Since you once put these feet on the hood of the serpent Kaliya, place them on our breasts and tear away the lust in our hearts. आपने नमेला देहियो नो पाप नो नाश करना गायो पाछड़ फरना श्री लक्ष्मी ना स्थान रूप कालिया नाग ની ફણો ઉપર સ્થાન કરે એવા આપના ચરણ કમલને અમારા હૃદય ઉપર સ્થાપન કરો અને અમારા હૃદયમાં ચોરની માફક રહેલી કામનાને નાશ કરો. પ્રણત. Pra, that which moves forward. Nat means to bow down. Pranata. Specially bowed down. Dehina. The one who resides in the body, not the body. The body can bow down, but the one who resides in the body. The one who is anointed. Dehina. Papa Karshana. So those who specially bow down, who surrender, those who are in the body, those who are anointed, if they surrender, Karshan, it comes from the word krush, to make thin, to make emancipated, to become thin. So ena paap tame dur karo છો, જે તમારા ચરણે આવે છે એના પાપ દૂર કરો છો. Those who come to your feet, you make thin their sins. Trunachar anugam. To follow those feet, follow those grazing in the grass. Now this word truna is a little difficult because it means grass, but it also means to wound. It also means lower, the minuteness, the worthlessness. So when you walk on grass, the grass gets crushed and that is wounding the grass. Truna chara anugam. So you are following those whose footprints have been left on the grass, meaning the cows. Your feet follow the cows who go to graze in the pastures. Deeper meaning will be your attention follows where the senses go. Your attention is not pulled away by the senses, but your attention follows, it watches where the senses are going, where they leave their footprints in the sun, in the grass. Trunachara anugama Shri Niketanam. Those feet, they follow the cows They walk on the grass, but they are the abode of Shri. They are the abode of prosperity, graciousness, joy. Funny for fun arpitam. Funny means to go. It means the hood of a snake. So the hoods of Kaliya Nag, those feet, they arpit. Kaliya Nag arpited, gave his hoods to those feet. They were arpitam of Kaliya Nag. But it has a deeper meaning. The snake is a symbol of time. Funny means that which goes, which wanders. So we are talking about one dimension of time. Fana means to expand, another dimension of time. So this whole slok seems to be talking about time. That which goes forward and that which remains in the past as memory. And the memory created out of walking on the grass, that is out of suffering, out of pain. Not the memory not the memory of pain. The memory which is created out of hard work, out of effort. Right? Fana for arpitam. જે ફેલાયેલું છે તેને અર્પિત. એટલે કાલિયા નાગના ફણ ફેલાયેલા હતા તેને અર્પિત. Arpit comes from the root to control. Root to control. So, એને કાલિયા નાગને નાથ્યો હતો. Control. When you make a hole in the ox and tie the string. It also means samarpan, surrender. So the first line also, first line, pranata dehinam is surrender, and here also arpitam means surrender. Te pada ambujam. Te pad keva ambujam. Amb means to sound. Amb also means water. Ambu means water. Means to sound. Ambu means water. Flowing water. The pad, the place, the sthan, the step above the flowing water. The lotus. The lotus. That which is born out of water. Not still water because it is making a sound. Now, all these adjectives in this whole sloka are for the feet. Everything is for his feet. Te pad ambujam. Keva pad ambujam? To awa. Ke je na chadne aave eno paap dur thai. What? All these adjectives are for his feet. What kind of feet? Like lotus. Those feet, if somebody comes to and surrenders to them, then their sin is diminished, their pap is diminished. These feet follow the cows in the grass. These feet were on the head of the snake. So, they are addressing Krishna, who are you, what are you? You are the one whose feet are like this. You are the one whose feet are like this. Right? Which kind of feet? People can surrender and get rid of their sin, which follow where the sense is aware of where the senses are going. Those feet where Shri resides, where prosperity resides. Those which were on the head of the snake. These feet which are lotus-like. Krunu kucheshu. Krunu means to do, please do. Krunu. Kucheshu means breast. Now this word kucheshu, it also means contracted. So not just an ordinary breast, a contracted breast. Now breast contracts only in two instances. And these are opposite ends of the pendulum. One, in a feeling of jealousy, the breast contracts. Right? So one is in a feeling of jealousy, and the second is when the breast is just going to be filled with milk. When the mother is going to milk the child, when the breast is going to be filled with milk, the breast contract at the point of being filled with milk. So one is jealousy and one is vatsalya. The joy of motherhood, the joy of giving, the joy of nourishing. So they are saying, Krunu kucheshu. Put those feet on our breasts. Now again here, all the translations have been done feet, but it is pad ambujam, so it is 1 foot. It is pad ambujam, it is not men plural, so it is 1 foot. Put those feet on our breasts, so that sleeping in our hearts, the krundi, radchayam, the krundi which is lying in our hearts. Krundi means lust. So we move from this one extreme of jealousy to the other extreme of giving, of nourishment. Krundi, rudchayam. Shayam means sleeping, that which is sleeping in our hearts. Kru again means to do, right? Pranata Dehinam, the one who occupies the body, not that which is seen by the 5 senses, that which is unseen by the 5 senses, that has to surrender. We think that that which is seen by the senses has to surrender, the physical has to surrender. But there must be an inner surrender. And that inner surrender has to be practiced. It cannot be done just to a guru. Or it cannot be just to the idol in the temple. It has to be practiced moment to moment in life. And as we practice that, the sins are emancipated. Now what is the meaning of this word sin, papa? So we took one meaning: in any moment of time, that which leads us to a higher state of consciousness is virtue or punya, and that which leads us to a lower state of consciousness is pap athva sin. So, but we have all so many meanings of sin, so many meanings, unwarranted meanings. So many fears that we hold, which because we think they are sin. So many scruples in our mind. Scruple means uneasiness of the mind. And sin is not where we are looking for it. It is somewhere else. Like we said yesterday, Guruji said there is only one sin, and that is the sin of identification. To being hypnotized by life. And these scrupulous thoughts which we have, they torture us. And when you meet people, people find sin in the most insignificant things. Have you had a bath? Did you eat this? Did you drink this? So they find sin in the most scrupulous things, the most minute things in life. And people love to find sin in others. And in the Bible, one of the words used for the devil is the accuser. Is the accuser. So whenever we accuse anybody, we become the devil. We become the devil. Finding fault with others. We become, sin to us is like, it's a collection of things in our mind, and we are holding on to all these small matters. Extremity of anything is a sin. Any extreme. Life is moderation. Life is moderation. Right? Walking the middle path, as Buddha called it. Extremity of anything. If it is extremity of religion, extremity of drinking, extremity of anything is a sin. Rising in the ladder of evolution, to fall is a sin. Life is a balance. When I want something at the expense of everything else, it is a sin. A politician wants power at the expense of anything else. A banker wants money at the expense of anything else. I want virtue at the expense of anything else. Sin. Sin If the centers are not balanced inside, anything we do will be sin. A purely intellectual person who lives just by reason will distort life according to his reason. He has not developed his emotional center. He can't feel life. He's thinking life all the time. This is a sin. Another woman may be feeling life all the time. She's not thinking life. And she's feeding people and looking after people, but extremity is a sin. There must be a balance of centers. Gospels call sin because the Gospels are actually written in Greek. The original Gospels, which we have not come in Latin, they have come in Greek. Right? And the word in Greek for sin is missing the mark. We miss the middle line of the pendulum, missing the mark. In the Delphic oracle it was written in Greece, nothing too much. Nothing too much. But for us, sin is what we do and what we do not do. There's nothing through understanding. Don't do this, it is a sin. And anything which we do for fear of sin is done out of fear, so it is identification, so it is a sin. Don't eat this, it is a sin. We are doing it not out of the will of doing it, not out of the delight of doing it, not out of the joy of doing it, not out of the understanding of doing it. We are doing it, we are not doing it because it is a sin. એ પાપ છે એટલે આપણે નથી કરતા અને એ પાપ છે એટલે નથી કરતા તો આપણું લક્ષ્ય જ ખોટું છે અને એ કરવું એ જ પાપ છે. સમજ, understanding. So to do anything with the heavy conviction of sin, and then especially if there is this inner, what you call pious ego inside, where we have to show to people that we are doing punya and not doing pap, we are doing virtue and not doing sin. Just imagine if everything was a sin, eat this is a sin, drink this is a sin, go here is a sin, do this is a sin, get up in the morning is a sin, then spirituality will be a gloomy business. Spirituality is joy in every moment of life. Everything transforms inside. All sins turn into virtue. There's nothing left like a sin in spirituality. But this inner pious ego which we get, of do's and don'ts in life. And life gets bogged down into that, and then there's no joy in life. There's no understanding in life. So identification is the only sin. Just imagine one moment we are so happy, and suddenly somebody gives us a bit of news that your girlfriend this, and from that height we fall into jealousy. From that height we fall into jealousy. That very moment we fall from that height into jealousy. This falling in, like yesterday we talked about sinking into the mud of life, sinking into the water of life. This sinking in is sin.
I'm sorry, I just don't understand about the do's and don'ts before you carry on. So everything we make everything a sin, but there isn't such a thing. So say you need to, there's this vegetarian option, there's a non-vegetarian option, and how are you supposed to think about it? Because it's said that don't kill life, you're not supposed to eat that of another. But then, plant life is also life. So how are you as a person now supposed to say that? How are you supposed to not draw the line? I don't understand that. There should be some rules to say.
See, if there is truth, that truth has to be universal. Truth cannot be true for one person and untrue for another person. Right? But there is an aesthetic side to life. Where there is a feeling of life in a higher dimension. It has nothing to do with sin and taking life or anything. The very meaning of life is one life lives on another life. You get it? So, but there is, because man is given intelligence, he is given the power of discrimination. And there is one part of his life which is aesthetic. He loves the beauty of life. He enjoys the beauty of life. So, vegetarianism is aesthetic. There is beauty in vegetarianism. There is not truth in vegetarianism. There is no sin and not sin. But it is a more cleaner way of living. You get what I'm trying to say? But a vegetarian ego is the worst thing. And when I see vegetarian egos, I know these are irreparable machines. Nothing can work. In their life, nothing is going to happen. You get what I'm trying to say? So, one life lives on another life. This is the law. This is the law. Struggle for existence is the law. Second thing is that we only see what is in front of the five senses. That somebody is taking this life. What is happening behind, we don't know anything. The laws. That is much beyond our understanding. I think I've talked about this, but I'll talk about it again. Usually I don't get into this. Because it's a very touchy issue with people, and I don't want to get into this usually.
Like I was also told once, a plant is alive, an animal is also alive. So, the same argument, I was told once, a plant is alive. And an
yes, but the deeper meaning is you cannot take life.
Sure. I think.
You see, the deeper meaning is you cannot take life. We live under this illusion that we are killing something. So that is, now, what is plant life? What is animal life? And how does creation go about? Let us try to understand. Creation needs certain energies. Nature needs certain energies. And for those energies, she needs a transforming apparatus, like we need a transformer to transform certain kind of electricity into another kind of electricity. Now, nature says she starts at one point. She starts at all worlds. So maybe we say there are so many worlds like this world, right? And from that, the ray of creation comes down into what we call all worlds, the galaxy, all suns, the solar system. And the way nature creates it is according to law. It is according to law. Now this law follows what is called an octave. It follows the musical scale. In music, when we go from do, re, mi, and then between mi and fa, there is a kind of retardation in vibrations. Sa, re, ga. And ga ne ma ni vacche, there is a retardation. Means, I'll tell you now. It's a little difficult, but supposing, I'll give you an example through the stock market. Stock market is an easy example for me because 20-30 years of my life. Okay. Say a stock today rises 5 rupees. Tomorrow it rises 8 rupees. Day after it rises 5 rupees. So what will you see the rate of change from today, from 5 to 8? But, so today the rate of change was 5, tomorrow the rate of change was 8. But here the rate of change is 5. So even though the stock has gone up, the rate of change has gone down. Now you understand what I'm trying to say. Between sa, re, ga, the rate of change is moving up. But between ga and ma, even though the vibrations are becoming finer, the rate of change decreases. This is called an interval. This is called an interval. Now this is very important, very important. Because in life, we go to do so many things. I want to make a factory, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to get married, I want to do so many things in life, and I have so many desires in life. And every desire that I move on, it starts in this way. Sa, re, ga. At ga, there is a sudden drop in vibrations. There is a sudden drop in. So the initial energy which I started out with, supposing today you listen to these ideas, right? And you start with full force. So you will go from sa, re, ga. Till then the force will be, then suddenly something will come in your life. Some obstacle will come. And this is the law. It has to come. Whether I'm building a factory, whether I'm doing a business, whether I'm walking on the path of yoga, the obstacle has to come. This is the law. And the law says that that obstacle will come and there will be a fall in my initial thrust. Cement na bhav vadi gaya, kya factory banao? The prices of cement have gone up. Why should I make the factory? You know, that initial line of time which I was drawing, suddenly there will be an obstacle there, and unless I can surmount the obstacle, I will change my direction. So you may be doing these exercises, doing yoga, at Sare Ga, Ghare Mehman aa gaya, guest came. Guest came. You get it? Now this law has to be seen in life. I want to talk about this law. I don't know whether this time I'm going to get a chance. It's a very, very deep law of how things work in the universe. So then there's a sudden change of direction at that. Now at such a stage we need a different kind of awareness to take a little help. So usually we say okay, we are keeping shibirs and we are keeping camp because we know this law of octaves goes on, and a point comes in people when they feel bored of doing everything. They want to change their direction. I mean, we did everything, there's no effect coming, this is that, everything seems as if it's moving on a plateau. So that is the time when you have to push people again. So this push which is called in a shock. Something has to push. And in an octave there are two shocks, sa, re, ga, ma, between mi and fa, do, re, mi, fa, and between the last si and do, mi, sa, right? Now in music we have avro and aro, the rising octave and descending octave. So when we are doing sadhana, we are going from lower to higher. So our sadhana is a rising octave. When God is creating the universe, He is creating, or she is creating, whatever, from subtle to gross, from swaha to. So there's a movement of subtle to gross. So it is a descending octave. It is a descending octave. Now in this creation, I don't know if I'm coming across in all this, I don't know. Generally you don't talk all this on a public platform. You don't talk all this. It's talked about in small groups. Now, at a certain point in the creation, certain shock is needed, even by nature. And nature has to create that shock. So in this movement down from all worlds, this, it comes down, nature comes to the earth. Nature comes to the earth. And in the earth, nature wants to move ahead, but she cannot move ahead because now something is missing. Something is missing. So the law says that now what is needed? Some push is needed. So she created something called organic life. Right? Organic life was not created for man. It was not created for man, it was created for nature. It was created for nature. Now, what does organic life do? It takes energy from the sun, breaks down that energy, and transforms that energy into different higher substances. Psychological energy, the energy of the senses, sensitivity, the energy for thinking, the energy for sex, right? So all the raw material for energy comes from the sun, right? And that energy we take in as food, we eat that energy and we live that energy through the five senses. Three sources of that energy we are taking. These are called three kinds of food. The physical food, the air food, the impression food or the incoming impulses which we talked about that day. Three kinds of food man is eating all the time. The problem with today's man is that he's become so bogged down with physical food, he's forgotten the other foods. And physical food has no meaning at all. When the rishis are saying an evu brahma, they don't mean the physical food we are eating in our thali. That has nothing to do with that. That is just the coal. And some coals are good and some coals are bad. It doesn't have anything to do with that. They are talking about the air we breathe and the impressions which I'm taking it, but this moment I'm vomiting it out as a reaction. I'm not digesting it inside. I'm not creating any higher substance out of it. Each moment in life, I'm taking in something through the five senses and I'm digesting it. The whole Gayatri mantra is this process of digestion. How this process, the science of the Gayatri mantra, how this digestion works. So, we are stuck with physical food. My guru used to call physical food as coal soap. Coal. Air food used to call as petrol. And the food which used to come through the five senses, which he calls as Kundalini Shakti, he used to call it as nuclear power. He used to call it as nuclear power. He said, we are concerned with nuclear power, we are not concerned with coal. What you are eating. What you've been brought upon, you eat. What is in your sanskar, you eat. It has nothing to do with your path. Again, I'm saying there is an aesthetic side to life, there is a beautiful side to life. And vegetarianism is a beautiful side to life. It is a more picturesque side to life. It is a more joyful side to life. But doesn't mean it is the true side to life. Truth cannot change for anyone else. You get what I'm trying to say? So this organic life is created to take in the energy of the sun, transform that energy and throw it out and give it back to nature. And nature takes that energy. So when a plant dies, it releases a certain energy. Nature takes that energy and gives it to those parts of the universe which are still dead, which are on the other side of the note on the octave, where she needs a shock to push this energy through. When an animal dies, you see, when an animal dies, there is a shriek inside. You see, it doesn't want to die. But remember, this has nothing to do with the animal. It is all instinctive. It has nothing to do, it is pre-programmed by life. The instinctive center is pre-programmed. So it gives out, it shrieks and it gives out a certain energy. That energy is taken by nature and given to those areas. But in man, something else came in. Something else came in. Now, just as nature goes down, there is also an ascending octave, an ascending movement. And that ascending movement in nature starts from the earth to the sun further on. The earth has a physical body. It wants to create an astral body. So that astral body is what? It's atmosphere. The atmosphere is the astral body of the earth. The sun has a physical body, it has an astral body, and it is creating a body of fire called the mental body. See, this is the progression of stars. Earth to sun, moon to earth. Right? From lower to higher. This is the movement of energy, the movement of prana from lower to higher. Now, in the downward movement, the nature needed some energy, so she made organic life. In the upward movement, the sun needed some energy. And so, he allowed man to have something called an Atma. It is not there in animals, it is not there in plants. He allowed man to have something called an Atma. Why did he allow man to have it? Because it was something which came right from divine. Why did the sun allow it? Now two things. The sun wanted some energy. And that energy was increase in the energy of consciousness. So if man grows vertically, the sun grows. It is able to create a mental body. If man falls down and sinks, then nature grows. Then nature. These are two sides of man. Nature and the sun. Nature and the sun. So all organic life has been created for nature. Nature has nothing to do with man's spiritual growth. That is why we address the Gayatri mantra to the sun. It is because of you that we were given an Atma. Now take us on your journey upward, on this upward journey. We address it to the sun. Jesus went on top of the mountain and in the Garden of Gethsemane, right? And he's talking to the sun. He's talking to the, now, I don't know how I'm going to go into all this. This is so very fascinating, all this. Now, some conscious energy is given to man automatically for his functions in life. Now the sun has two movements, the Uttarayan, I think we did it in one sloka, Uttarayan and Dakshinayan, the northward movement and the southern movement, the two movements. So when it is moving northwards, the sun, Uttarayan, that is from January 14th, the earth is breathing in. It is breathing in, that is why it is called Uttarayan. When it is moving from July 14th onwards, the earth is breathing out. Now when the earth is breathing in, the earth takes the breath of the sun, rotates it in its laboratory, in the heart of the earth, and every 1.5 hours it releases different pranas in the atmosphere. This 1.5 hour period we call in astrology as Chogadya. Chogadya. This Chogadya is Shubh and Labh and Chal and all those Chogadya. This 1.5 hour period. This is the breath of the earth related to the sun. Breath of the earth related to the sun.
Is the northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere, are the dates, the months the same?
Same. The earth is breathing as a whole. The earth is breathing as a whole. Now, within the earth there is a movement of, there's an inner movement of prana. It's all very complicated. I have to draw it, Anyway, I'll just say there's an internal movement of prana from north to south and south to north. So in the northern hemisphere, in the day it is north to south, and it is in the night it is south to north. In the southern hemisphere, in the day it is north to south, and it is south to north in the night. So if you see, water rotates in the opposite direction in the southern hemisphere. When you throw water in the sink, if you go to India, it will rotate like this and go out of the sink. But if you throw it here, it will go like this and go out of the sink. This is... Huh?
I've never noticed it.
I don't think anyone noticed that.
We went to New Zealand the first time. Guruji took me to New Zealand. And the first thing I went to the bathroom there and I saw this water, I nearly ran out of the bathroom. I said, what's gone wrong?
We've taken it.
See, this is the movement of the earth's prana. There's so many aspects to this, to bring them all together. And you see, I've been talking about this for 20 years now. So some of the group have been with me for years and years. So they say, after a couple of years, we've understood what you're saying. You see? So now the sun gives consciousness a little during its inward, when the earth is breathing in. That is why Bhishma wanted to die in Uttarayan. That is why everybody wants to die in Uttarayan. Why do they want to die in Uttarayan? Because at the point of death, the amount of consciousness which is a gift from the earth is a little more. Because the earth is breathing in and it is fresh breath which is going in every 1.5 hour in the atmosphere. Then the earth is breathing out. So it is rotating the same prana in the atmosphere. So the amount of consciousness which the earth can then spare for us is very little. Right? Now, certain gurus, they have learned to take this directly from the sun. So Jesus went on top of the mountain to take it directly from the sun and teach his disciples, but his disciples were sleeping. So he had to come back. He had to come back in a resurrection and teach Peter how to do it. Now, in man there is this thing called Atma. What does the Atma give us? And which is not there in animals and plants. Because man has an Atma, a spirit. The animals and plants only have a soul. And that soul is of a universal consciousness. It is not an individual consciousness. It has to follow a pre-programmed law, that soul. You get what I'm saying? It is not a single individual soul. It is a universal soul. See, the sun rises, all the sunflowers look at the sun. That's the law. That's the law. It cannot change. One sunflower cannot, like man, say that today I don't want to go to office, I'm feeling sick or something. It's not allowed. Right? There is no individuality in animals and plants of that kind which man has. So what does man have that animals and plants do? And this is because of the gift of Atma. Soul, spirit. What does he have? What does he have? The very special thing which man has.
He has choice.
Yes, but how does that choice come about? Attention. Attention. An animal and plant, their attention can only go out. It cannot go in. A man's attention can go out and in at the same time. I'm talking to you, attention is going out. But I'm aware that I'm talking to you, attention is also going in at the same time. This is called self-consciousness. This is the gift of humanity, which he doesn't use at all. He only is letting his attention flow out. New cars, new this, new that. Attention is always flowing out. The responsibility which comes with man of taking attention in, he does not take it in. And when attention goes in, comes self-consciousness or awareness. Now, man takes from the sun and he transforms that energy. And he transforms that energy, and nature wants that energy. She wants that energy very badly, because that is of a different kind of energy, not what the plants have, not what the animals have, because there is no Atma. Here there is. So she's every moment trying to create a situation where man throws out this energy. Where man throws out this energy. And the only way she can get that energy is by making him fall in consciousness. If he rises in consciousness, he will save that energy and transform it into conscious energy. It will go to the sun. So the sun's progress and man's progress will move together. But in man's fall is nature's progress. In man's fall is nature's progress. So nature wants, she'll throw condition after condition. She'll throw the net, like you throw the net to catch fish. She'll throw the net and man will get caught in the net of hypnotism. He'll throw out that very valuable energy which he has taken from the sun, transformed, whether it is food, the final product of food we talked yesterday was sex energy, but there are different energies which he's transforming inside. And all these energies he gives away to nature and nature takes it away in negative emotion. If he rises in consciousness, so organic life is just an experiment of nature. Man is different because of the sun. Because of the sun. And in this upward movement of the sun. One day I'll take with you how these pranas come in. There are two different movements of prana in the body. One this way from north to south, Uttarayan and Dakshinayan, and one east to west which we call as Ida, Pingla. And how all these movements create the cycles in man. It's very, very fascinating all this. So, sin, what we count as sin is nothing. The only sin is, if we give it to nature, it is sin, and if we give it to the sun, it is punya, it is virtue. That is the only sin. Surrender. Pranita Dehina Papa Karshana. Nat namelu pranat sarkhirite namelu. To go towards, to surrender, to make this effort to surrender. And this is every moment, whoever is in front of us. Truna char anugam. To follow the path in the grass. To follow the path in the grass. What are footprints? What are footprints? What do footprints symbolize? What do footprints symbolize? Somebody has gone and the memory remains. The memory remains. But memories of two kinds. One, memory which contains knowledge. Right? Memory which contains knowledge. And it is this memory which we are interested in. And this knowledge does not come free of charge. You have to wound the grass. It does not come free of. There is suffering involved in the collection of knowledge. It does not mean just by reading books we get knowledge. There is a suffering involved. If you would like to know one beautiful book, beautiful movie also, Meetings with Remarkable Men, where how Gurdjieff gathered the knowledge which he then imparted as a guru, how he read it, what he did to gather that knowledge, what he went through to gather that knowledge. Knowledge does not come easily. How he travelled, what hardships he faced, what he went through. He went through these secret monasteries, he gathered all that knowledge and he put it together. And around 1912, he is seen in Moscow and his disciple Ospinsky comes to meet him and they spend 6 years together. Right? So Gurdjieff has written about his travels in this beautiful book called Meetings with Remarkable Men, on which a very nice movie has been made. I think it is Terence Stamp is acting as Gurdjieff. Huh?
Is that the name of the movie as well?
Yeah, Meetings with Remarkable Men. So the gopis are saying that we see this grass and it is memory that you have gone. Your feet, your Padam Ambujam, your feet, your lotus-like feet have walked across the grass. The wounded grass reminds us that you walked behind the cows, behind your senses, over these pastures. You are not seen. We have been looking for you. You are not seen. But we still have bitter, sweet experiences, memories of you. So, when we remember that, it gives us a brief feeling, a brief sensation that you are going to graze the cows. What is presence? Not inner presence, but what is the feeling of presence? What is the feeling of presence? How do we remember a person? How do we remember a person? We burn the body. Now how do we remember a person? शरीर तो गए, आप इसको ना याद करिए. Whom do we remember? Say Pranat Dehi Nam. We remember the De, not the Dehi. When we keep the photograph. To remember the person, we need a photograph. To remember the person, we need a photo. Is there another way of remembering a person? Then there will be communication. The teacher teaches this to the disciple. Before going, the teacher teaches this to the disciple. What does he teach? Because however beautiful the body of the Guru, it's going to go. It's going to go. Right? You have to either burn the body or whatever. So the photo is useless. Even though the photo has a meaning. But what is there? You have to sense the person. Sense. A mother can sense the child has come home. And I have seen it in so many cases in my 57 years where the child is somewhere very far away, he is going through difficulties, the mother knows over here, she can sense that the child is going through difficulties. In so many instances I've seen. All mothers come with this very, very powerful energy of sensitivity. It comes with motherhood. What does it mean? What does it mean? See, this energy is dying now. This energy is dying with phones, and now you just go on. There's no separation only. There's no feeling of separation. Right? You just click onto Skype and you're talking with the other person. So this energy is dying. I had attended one workshop many years ago where there was this person called Tempton Streeter, and he was a disciple of an English guru. His name was Harry Olson. And Harry Olson had written one book called The Dark Side of the Brain. And Streeter and his guru, they had made a kind of where they would take videos, but the videos would not be of the body, it would be of the pranic body, the inner prana. So, in one of the videos, they were showing me many videos of Omkar. One of the videos was of someone who had AIDS. One of the videos, there's this mother doing Omkar. And she's sitting on the balcony, that is the first floor balcony of her home. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon and she's doing Omkar. The body of the mother can just be seen as an outline, but there are these beautiful white clouds coming out of her body, as if her pranic body is expanding. The physical body is confined to the laws of time and space, but the pranic body is suddenly expanding out of the body. Now the son comes from school. So the house is like this, and outside the house there's a garden. There's a garden. And the garden has a gate. So the mother is sitting in the house, on the balcony, doing Omkar, and this person is filming her, and the son comes at the gate. As the sun comes at the gate, the prana of the sun comes in the film. The sun is outside, he's not filming the sun. But the prana of the sun comes in, as if the sun wants to meet the mother. And the mother, in the prana there is a kind of change. As if the mother has recognized, my son has touched the gate of the house. She has not seen the sun. You see? Now this is energy of sensitivity. The mother can do this. And this energy comes as a gift of motherhood. So, this is the same energy the disciple wants to develop, because the Guru is going to go one day. And he wants to feel the presence of the Guru, not the photo of the Guru. We feel the photo, we see the photo. We don't go beyond the five senses to know another person. You get it? Supposing if everybody's head was cut off, would I recognize anyone in the room? Huh? No. So to recognize not through body, to recognize through presence. So the gopis are saying that even though you are not there, that you have walked across the grass, that mark is there that you have walked across the grass, and there's a small feeling of your presence over there. There's a small feeling of your presence. And that presence is such that if anybody remembers that presence, their sins are diminished. There is an inner awakening with that presence. There is an inner feeling with that presence. There is an inner rising of energy with that presence. So we can feel your essence in Raja, they are saying. When we see your footprint, we see that you were there. We feel you. We can't see you, but we feel you. And it is this which we should make powerful. Every disciple has to work on this energy. Because it is that which allows him to communicate with the Guru after the Guru has gone. It can be done with a photograph also. It can be done with this. So you put the photograph of the Guru in your room, but you have to learn to talk to the photograph. And you have to understand that you are not talking to your Guru. It is just an excuse for the inner presence, our inner presence. Because presence is not different. My presence and your presence is not different. My Atma and your Atma is not different. You get it? The Guru's presence and the disciple's presence is the same presence. So you learn, you start by physical things, small things, saying good morning to the photo. And slowly the photo will start responding. Nothing is happening in the photo. If a scientist analyzes the photo, nothing has changed. Right? But the photo will start responding. It is the inner presence. The inner presence. One beautiful photo of Ramakrishna, where Ramakrishna is sitting cross-legged and his eyes are not fully open, they are half open. He's not looking outside, he's looking inside at his own divine fragment, at his own Atma he's looking. He's looking. That is a beautiful photo. If you can keep that photo in your home and just look at those eyes are going right to the source of life. Just penetrate through those eyes. Huh? I used to keep that photo in my bedroom. So in the middle of the night when, we keep a dim light in this thing, and just see the photo and you move into the eyes. Just move into the eyes. And there's something beyond. It's not just a photo. It is not just a photo. A very rare piece where he's totally detached. His eyes are open and he's not looking outside. It's a very rare piece. Very rare piece. Maybe you can.
Is it only his eyes that you can look into?
Pardon?
Is it only his eyes that you can look into, or is it others as well?
Yeah, I don't get that.
Like Ramakrishna's eyes, you say, are directed inwards, and if you look at his eyes, and if
you can move through those eyes because he's kept them open for you. He's kept them open for you, so you can move into those eyes, and then you are not looking at his divine fragment, you are looking at your divine fragment because both are the same. It is a technique. Whether he did it consciously or what, he must have done it consciously. It cannot be done otherwise. It is like something given to posterity, that photo.
What's the experience?
Pardon?
What's the experience?
Let's walk together. Knowledge. Nothing can happen unless we value. I mean, all these ideas I give, I'm not giving, it's just flowing. They're not my ideas, again I'm saying. It's not something, I have used them. And because they are somebody else's or whosoever, they are the divine knowledge, but because I have used them, I have a right to speak of them. Now, where do these ideas fall? If they fall only on our intellectual center, then we will enjoy them for some time and then forget about them. Then nothing is going to happen. It has to fall on the right soil. It's like the first time when we fell in love. Everything is so beautiful. Nothing can be wrong. It's a different feeling. But we fell in love is okay. But when we go to relate to the person, then a lot of things, then it's an effort. Then to hold that love in a relationship is a big effort. It requires conscious effort. So, I mean, you must be valuing these ideas, that's why you're here. But it shouldn't be like the first time you fell in love and then it got over after some time. The value has to continue. So that value can only come from the heart, because we listen through the head, but the value can only come from the heart, unless we feel these ideas. We feel that we want to do this, we want to walk on this path. The footprints. These are someone's footprints we are talking about. They're not mine. All gurus in different language, they talk about the same footprints. They're just one set of footprints. Truth is one painting. Somebody sees different, everybody sees different colors in the painting. Everybody adds to that painting, their own colors to that painting. So first love does not last, but the seed has been sown. Now we have to revalue everything, keep on revaluing everything. And this is inner work which we have to do within ourselves. So just good feelings that we've heard something good or something, it's just not enough. That is just the beginning. It's just the beginning. Listening is just the beginning. And there are many ways to listen. But we'll talk about that some other day. The second thing is when we study the ideas to start applying them in our lives. It's very difficult. Jesus just gives one simple sentence: love thy neighbor as thy love thyself. I love myself too much. How am I going to love my neighbor? How is it possible? One simple sentence, how to live it. And which neighbor is he talking about? Is he talking about the neighbor next door? And somebody will say, oh yeah, a beautiful girl has come to live next door. Oh, Jesus said. There was this priest, and in his sermon every Sunday Mass he would say, Jesus said, you give, if somebody hits you on one cheek, you give the other cheek. And every Sunday that would be said. One day he was walking along the road and one man came and gave him a big whack on one cheek. So then he suddenly realized that he's been lecturing all the time, he has to give the other cheek. He didn't give it so easily, but he gave the other cheek. So then that man gave him a whack on the other cheek. Then he got angry and he said, Jesus has said only two, not more. So, we have to revalue these ideas. Applying them in life. So if we keep them only in the intellectual center, we'll never be able to apply them. So the second step is to take them to the emotional center. Start feeling for them. And that we have to do in a different way from life. We can't just read these ideas as if we are reading a novel or something. It has to be done in a different way. The pathways in the brain have to change the way we take these ideas. Satkar asevitu dhrad bhumi, Patanjali says. Satkar asevitu dhrad bhumi. Satkar. Satkar. Do satkar. Asevitu. Like a sevan. A mother is nourishing the child. Sevan. In that way, let these ideas nourish you. Let these ideas nourish you. They must go into our blood. So the value keeps on increasing. I remember once in Bombay where I was staying, one person had come and he was talking about Gurdjieff's ideas, and he had a small class in Bombay where he was talking. So he invited me to attend the class. I went to attend the class. He says, I'm just talking about the basic things, you will not be interested. I said, no, every time I hear these ideas, the value of them increases. There's no boredom in this. There's no boredom in this. I've been studying these ideas since 1987. Actually since 1976, but I really started understanding them after 1987. And they made the kind of groundwork. When I met Taudiya ji in 88, a lot of the groundwork had been prepared by other people. I'm very thankful, otherwise I would have never understood Taudiya side. Not have been possible. It is because the groundwork was done by a lot of other people. So I really value these ideas. There's real value. Value them above anything else. And that value comes from the heart. Because like we fall in love with somebody, we fall in love with our sadhana. It is our lover. And we look after it as if we are looking after a lover. And we don't become obstinate about it. If it is the time for our exercise and the wife says, nay, come and have breakfast, then we will find some other time in the day, but we will do what the wife says. And we had very strict rules. Because one day my guru got to know that, he says, I was phoning you in the morning and the phone was engaged. So I was doing Gayatri, so I put the phone down. No. If it takes 20 minutes to do one mala of Gayatri, you please pick up the phone, answer the phone, and then start all over again. You cannot escape from your duties of life. You have to first be a good householder, then become a sannyasi. And both have to move together. So then we value these ideas. But if we are just a sannyasi, then there is no value in these ideas. You have to be both. A monk and a householder together. And a householder looks after the house. And now he's looking after the house in a totally different way. The same things he's doing, but in a totally different way. And suddenly that very house, because he or she is doing it in a different way, it becomes heaven. Automatically. Because one thing which goes away is negativity. No reactions. Where there's no reaction, there's no violence. There's no hate towards one another. There's no thought of taking revenge on the other. Suddenly, everything, in that small household, everything changes. It becomes heaven, paradise. We have to value this. And as we walk on this, slowly things start changing. Everything changes. It's not that we are doing anything different. So we use this knowledge, but use it in a new way. Don't use it as we gather knowledge from libraries and things like that. Feel its reality, feel its truth. Recognize its power, the power of transformation. The old will keep on trying to attack us again. Our old habits, our old sanskars will keep on attacking us. And again we'll rise from that. We are dominated by our sanskars. But every day if we keep on practicing, a point will come when we are like this Padam Ambujam, the lotus flower. The lotus has grown out of the mud. We have suddenly risen. Now something of life can't touch us. We are now walking on the waters of life. So don't join it up with all the collection of knowledge we have, or don't put it in the library of knowledge we have. It's about man, his situation on the earth, where he came from, how he can find his source, and how he can turn this very life. There's a beautiful book, this very life, the lotus paradise. Lotus paradise. Now from knowing these ideas, we will move to understanding these ideas, and this understanding will come as we live them more and more. Then from knowledge we have moved to being. We have moved to being. We become these ideas. Right? Now it is not just knowledge that we don't react, but we have become that. There is no reaction left in us anymore. We have become that. That knowledge is filtered into being. To know and to be. So that will come with deep assimilation of these ideas. They open our consciousness to so many things. When two people meet, it is just psychology's meeting. We feel two bodies are meeting. It is just two psychologies meeting. And once we have entered in deep into our own world, we can enter into the other person's world. Suddenly our consciousness is expanded. Everything is expanded. Now if that other person is treating us badly, if he is giving it to us, if he is insulting us, if he is doing all bad things, but our consciousness is expanded. And we have already seen that state in ourselves already. Then there can be no hurt inside. There's nothing left to be hurt. We know this is natural only. Nothing otherwise can happen. Only this can happen. We just accept it, we just absorb it. And it is not whether somebody is insulting us or not, but we come to a state where we can never be insulted. It's not possible. There's nothing inside left to be hurt. That's gone, dissolved. And it is these ideas which will lead us to that state by living these ideas, applying these ideas. And then something else will grow out of it. Something else will grow out of it. The highest state of love is compassion. And compassion needs an outward excuse to come, and it doesn't come from our unconscious mind or subconscious mind. It comes from a higher source. Avtaran થાય છે. This word avtaran, we don't have an exact. It is invoked. It comes from a higher source. So you see the other person angry, the other person is maltreating you, giving it out to you. You absorb it because there's no hurt left inside. And you see that he is still hypnotized by life. And in that seeing of his hypnosis, a criticism does not come. That criticism has gone away. There is something from the higher comes to meet you, and that is compassion. You thank that person that because of you, this compassion came to meet me. Suddenly the whole situation has changed. And this happens daily in our lives. Then nobody can insult us. That very insult becomes an excuse to move into a higher state, to allow yourself to go into a higher state. Then you can only thank that person. It is his hypnosis, but compassion is the feeling that he is in hypnosis. And we have lived through it. So this must lead us to this state. Then everything changes. Then God is not very far. But as we are with all the possessions we have, psychological possessions we have, God is very, very far. And entry into self is only gained through long self-observation. And this rhythm is the key to self-observation. So till we can not enter into our subconscious, our unconscious, through observation, we cannot help another person. It's very difficult. See, today, psychiatrists, they try to help another person. Right? So they are helping another person with his anger, but what about his own anger when he goes home? He's not observed it. He's just been trained to help another person. Can he help himself? Can he be free of his own anger? Can he be free of his own reactions? And that is real help. When we are helping somebody after we have been free of it within ourselves. And that is why Smriti Ben asked me to talk about the 3 lines of work. Not today, definitely. But the second line of work is work with others. Work on self. And when I've seen something in myself, when I freed myself of something within myself, I have a right to work with somebody else on that. But till then, if I'm getting at home, angry at home every day with my wife, how can I talk about helping somebody who is getting angry? It's not possible. It's just some ideas, some theories which I've gathered. So only by seeing, knowing inside, understanding the self, do we understand another person. And if we understand another person and criticize him, then we are still not free of it inside. Criticism comes from a very low side of us. Whenever we criticize anyone, mechanical criticism of the other. That means we have not looked inside ourselves. If I am criticizing you, I have not looked inside myself. This presupposes. And criticism upsets the normal, even the natural harmony of life is upset by criticism. Now, everything we do gathers psychic material. And this material, now try to understand. I complain all the time that there is suffering in my life, there is this, nothing happens in my life, right? So I'm complaining all the time. Why am I complaining? What has led to this situation in life where nothing is working out for me? Nothing is working out for me. Supposing there is just one energy, and that energy, if it moves through a blue wire, it becomes an obstacle. If it moves through a red wire, it becomes an energy for action. And if it moves through a yellow wire or something as green wire, it becomes sattva, neutralizing. The 3 forces in life. But they all come from one source, 3 forces in life. Now here I am criticizing you. I'm gathering wrong psychic material. Which wire am I gathering? Which wire am I gathering? The one in which tamas is going to come. Life is going to meet me. Life is neutral. Life is life. Which event in life is going to come to meet me? Can you understand what I'm trying to say? All the events which are possible to man are lying in one bowl. Something happens over here and from there an event comes to meet me. Right? Now if I have gathered so much of wrong psychic material, which event am I going to invite? I cannot criticize another. I am only gathering wrong psychic material for which I am going to suffer. He is not going to suffer. He will suffer in this moment because I am criticizing him. His ego will be hurt a little and he'll be over. He'll go home, have a cup of tea and be finished with it. But I am gathering wrong psychic material, and it is that wrong psychic material which invites the events of life. It is going to invite my tomorrow. And I have all this wrong psychic material where I criticized him, I have passed comments about him, I have reacted on him, and all this material, this crude material I have got is going to invite something crude in my life. Only that can happen. Because those events come according to a law. Something on this dimension invites something from that dimension. The event comes to meet me. Why only this event came to meet me? And when we look inside, and suddenly light comes inside our own psychic nature, and all this evil material we have gathered, it suddenly starts disappearing. It starts going away, and we see that the events of our life are changing. Everything is changing. The events which are coming to meet us are changing, as if we were struggling our whole lives to change the outside life, change the event. I want happiness, I want happiness. And suddenly we don't want happiness. The desire for happiness is gone. We want to face each moment, and each moment brings happiness. I don't know whether I'm able to explain. And I realized that it was there where I criticized him. And that very criticism left a waste matter inside. And that waste matter invited suffering. So, if we can reflect on just what we are doing, we will see how stupid it is to criticize somebody else. How thick-headed, what ignorance is coming about. This feeling of this, imaginary feeling of superiority we have. This feeling of self-meritoriousness, oh, I am so good. And all this will block any change in our life. Nothing will change. So this knowledge has to bring transformation. So we keep on judging other people without realizing how much work we have to do on ourselves. What we do to others, we do to ourselves. Right, so we'll continue this sloka tomorrow. Right. I'm going too slow. Arpitam te padam ambujam krunu kucheshu nah krundi rudchay. Your lotus feet destroy the past sins of all embodied souls who surrender to them. Those feet follow the cows in the pastures and are the eternal abode of Sri Lakshmi. since you once put these feet on the hood of the serpent Kaliya, place them on our breasts and tear away the lust in our hearts. आपने नमेला देहियोनो पापनो नाश करना, गायो पाछड़ फरना, श्री लक्ष्मी ना स्थान रूपे, कालिय नाग ना फण ऊपर स्थान करતું, एवा आपना चरण कमल અમારા હૃદય ઉપર સ્થાપન કરો. હૃદયમાં ચોરની માફક રહેલી કામનાને નાશ કરો. So we saw last time, pranat means surrender. This is an inner state of surrender. We must practice this every moment in our lives. It is not just to keep the Guru's photo in the house and put a garland on it. Every moment the Guru is in front of us, in every incident of life, and to practice surrender there. Because the Guru is watching from within us. And that witness, the one who sees is the Guru. Don't make the Guru a personality. The Guru is vaster than any personality. We make one person the Guru and then we block off everything else. So we just use our worldly ideas into making a Guru is not a person. A Guru is much beyond the person. Pranat Dehinam, those who are occupying the body and they bow down to you, you destroy their sins. Last time we took what was a sin, so I won't repeat it today. Right? We destroy the sins. So that which takes us to a higher level of consciousness is a virtue. That which takes us to a lower level of consciousness is a sin. If by speaking an untruth, which we normally define as a lie, I rise to a higher level of consciousness, then it is not a sin, it is a virtue. Right? So a person may have an ego that he speaks only the truth, but he falls because of that ego. Trunachar Anugam. Trun means grass, a special kind of grass. Trun also means low. So they follow the cows in the pastures. Your feet go upon the grass. Char. Char means to graze. So those who are grazing the grass, your feet follow them. Now, Trud also means lower, and Chara means to transform. So transforming the lower. What are your feet? Your feet are those which each moment transform the lower. Now the word for feet is pada. It is not his charan or something. The word used here is pada. Pada means a position. You are on such a high position that every moment you are transforming the lower into the higher. Right? We are always reacting to the lower. We even react to the higher. So we make the higher the lower by reacting. So by not reacting to the lower, we transform the lower into the higher. So they're saying your pad ambujam, your this state, your position, where your feet are, the pada, the step where your feet are, is so high that each moment it is turning the lower into the higher. Shri Niketanam, and because of that, only good fortune comes to meet you. Only prosperity comes to meet you. Fani Fad Arpikam, the hood, Fad, fair, means the hood of the snake Kaliya, surrendered to your feet. Arpitam was arpit to your feet, to that state of yours, to your pad ambujam, Fani Fad Arpitam. Now this word Fani, because it represents a snake, snake meaning time, Fani Fad, that means One meaning of it means to wander. So one line of time to wander. And the other is the hood is expanding. So another line of time expanding. We are living in these two dimensions of time simultaneously. And we have to understand this if we want to progress on the path. That is why I am going to repeat this today because of this sloka. Fani Fan Arpitam. What is time? And in which time are we living? We live in 3 visible dimensions and 3 invisible dimensions. The 3 visible dimensions are what we call as length, breadth and thickness. I have gone through this, so I will not repeat it. So our senses, every moment they are seeing length, breadth and thickness, and they are taking a photograph which we call the present moment, and the mind is joining these photographs and making a line which we call as time. This is the first dimension of time. The senses are in this dimension of time. The senses are stuck in this dimension of time. They cannot move out of the present moment. We do not see anything beyond this dimension of time. And because there are other dimensions which are a reality, everything that we base upon this one line of time which we see cannot be the truth. So our senses are limited to this 3-dimensional time. It is a moving time where each moment the mind is joining these photographs and creating a line from past to the future. We live in this moving time. We take this as our reality. We are not aware of any other reality. Psychologically we think there is a God, there is something else. But we are never able to see it with some inner sense organ, some inner feeling. We are never able to catch that moment of time. All our thoughts, all our thinking are based on this 3-dimensional world which we see, moving in a 4th dimension which we call as time. Our way of thinking is based on this reality which is given to us by our 5 senses. Now we want to move on a path where every moment there is an increase of consciousness. For that we have to change the way we think. We have to make new pathways. We have to think in a different way. That is why the word metanoia is repeated in the Bible many, many times. That think in a different way. So these ideas are nothing more than just to make us think in a different way. Now first of all, we must realize that we are asleep in this 4th dimension of time, because all of us think that we are awake in this 4th dimension of time. In this moving time, we are asleep. We are in a state of hypnosis. We are in a state of identification. Now just by understanding this much if we've understood, that we are not awake, we are asleep, we are in a state of hypnosis, many inner new connections will start opening up. Just this very intellectual understanding. We will suddenly be open to some other reality, something else within us. Now, how do we create another line of time? How do we create another line of time? What goes into this creation? It is there, but we are not aware of it. That other line of time is there, but we are not aware of it. How do we enter into that line of time? How do we create that line of time? How do we move into another dimension of time? Where we are stuck into this line of time which we call from past to future. How?
By awakening?
Yeah. Just one word which I have used continuously in the last few days. Frequently in the last few days. By? Self Observation. If we are observing ourselves in a doing activity, doing actions in a certain line of time, then the observer has to be in some other time, because it is observing this time. The observer has to be in some other time, because it is that observer, he or she or it is observing this line of time. So the whole process of moving into higher dimensions, being able to touch different realities, to be able to go into something which is totally different, starts with the process of observing ourselves in this time. We cannot just go into a trance and touch some other reality and come back and live any way we want. We'll be a mess between two realities. People do this by taking drugs, by different meditation techniques, by different breathing techniques. It is possible. It's also very dangerous. It gives us a glimpse of some other dimension, and we don't know how to be constant in that dimension, how to live in that dimension. And that is why all these experiments are very, very dangerous. So if we are observing ourselves, then two things are happening at the same time. We are acting in this dimension of time, and something is seeing ourselves. A new self will appear. Something will appear. Behind each thought, there will be something else. Behind each emotion, there will be something else. Behind all our daydreaming, behind all our imagination, something else will be constantly watching all that, observing all that. Am I coming across it? We do not see ourselves in time. We see this small fleeting thing which we call the present moment. And even there, we are never in the present moment. We are never there. We are just daydreaming, brooding. Yesterday he did this, and tomorrow I have to prepare my son's tiffin box or whatever. Just brooding and daydreaming. Not a single moment goes by when we are with this moment. Watching is still far away. We are not in this moment. It's like two planes. One plane, the petrol is over. The other plane wants to give petrol to this plane, but both have to move at the same speed. Both have to move at the same speed. But the senses are moving at a certain speed. They are recording each present moment, the senses. And the mind is before or after. It's never at the same speed. And the senses are moving too fast. It's very difficult to hold the mind there. So the petrol comes in, but there's nobody to receive it. There's nobody there to take it. There's nobody present over there. So we don't see the other dimension of time. We don't see that we have another body, a totally different body, which today we will call as the time body. We have a time body. What would this time body contain? What would this time body contain? Funny fana arpitam. Moving and expanding at the same time. What would this time body contain? Try to see memory in two different ways. Try to see memory in two different ways. What is our memory? Our memory is of events. Our memory is of events. Right? I had pancakes for breakfast is an event. But what other memory? What other memory? What other memory? What other memory? Whether when I had those pancakes, was I complaining or was I happy? I don't remember. I don't remember. It must have been recorded somewhere, no? It must have been recorded somewhere. So we have two memories, an eventual memory of the events of life, and we have an experiential memory of all our experiences. When I look at you, what am I experiencing? I may show anything outside, I may shake your hand, you're a very nice person. And inside I may be saying something totally different. Where is this inner memory being recorded? It cannot die. It cannot die. It must be compartmentalized somewhere. All crime mystery novels in this place. Right? All self-development novels in this place. Books in this place. All books on philosophy in this place. It must be compartmentalized somewhere. It must be lying somewhere. We have a body of experiential memory. And that experiential memory is now. It's not something which happened yesterday. I ate the pancakes in the morning. But that like or dislike is now. Am I coming across? So, owing to our relation in time, we only see a point in time, which we call as the present moment, and we see nothing else. We do not see ourselves in time. We do not see ourselves as a body of experience. This is due to the senses. Because the senses can only register the present moment and nothing else. We are in this jail which we call the present moment. Just draw it on the board so it will become a little more clear. Now our time is composed of present moments, which we call our line of time, right? Past and future. This is the fourth dimension of time, which is registered by our senses. Now each dimension is cut by another dimension of time, which we call as the fifth dimension of essence. All that we acquire from life, our education, whatever we have acquired, the amount of degrees we have acquired, how famous we are, is all in this line of time. That which is born has come from somewhere else. It has come from another dimension of time. Right? It is this which we want to change, the essence in another dimension of time. Now, between these two there is a body, and that body contains all our experiences. All our experiences. We will give supposing it is a straight line like this, that body. Right? Now, at this point in time, somebody treats me badly. Somebody has treated me badly. So I am now full of all reactions within me. I am holding all this anger within me. So I am moving along this line of time. At this point in this line of time, somebody has treated me badly. Now, I hope you remember yesterday's story. There was a story of Jarasandh which we did yesterday. Jarasandh had imprisoned 86 kings, and if he had been able to imprison 100 kings, he would have then sacrificed those 100 kings and he would become all powerful. Nobody would be able to kill him again. This was yesterday's story, right? Now see this point in this time over here. At this point somebody has treated me badly. Right? So I am giving out my anger to this person. Now I have a time body which moves this here. I have a time which I cannot see. None of us can see it. Right? In this time body there are 86 kings. Jarasandh, 86 kings. The minute I get 100 kings, this anger becomes so powerful that nothing can change this anger. I become invincible. I'll become somebody like Hitler or something. Right? I become invincible. Nobody can touch me. Right? I have to collect 100 kings. So I have to still imprison, I have to still wage war on 14 more kings. And now one has come in front of me. I'm angry. I've been treated badly. You understand what I'm trying to say? That I have 186 units of anger. I need how many? 100. Here's a moment. Now, in this moment, what will be the intensity of my anger? What will be the intensity of my anger? This anger may have been spaced out at 86 dots. You get it? At 86 times in this line of time, I got angry. That has passed. I got angry on her, that has passed. I got angry on her, that has passed. I got angry on him, that has passed. But the anger has gone into my time body. It is lying there. One by one it is piling up. It is piling up. Now I have reached a stage where it is 86. Now somebody has come and now is the chance to kill the 87th king. There's a chance to kill the 87th. So I'm going to become more. So in this moment the intensity of my anger is all 86. That is not past. You get it? It is not past. Here it looks past. But all that is now. All that is now. I am living that anger now. Am I coming up? Yeah. You see, supposing we were to divide this line into two parts. We put this, the lower part as false personality or patal. And the upper part is Indra's realm or Swarga. Now to get entry into Patal, I have to have 100 over here. To get entry into Patal, or if you use the Christian terminology, hell or purgatory or whatever we want to use, to get entry in there, the minimum for the ticket is 100. And then in Patal there will be a different category I will get. I will move into different classes. If I get 100, then I'll be in this class. Then 200 will be another class, and 300 will be as I grow higher in class. So we'll put those classes as Daitya, Asur, Rakshas. Right? So I have reached 86. This guy mistreats me. I get angry on him. The intensity of my anger is 86. It has now become how much? 87. The minute I collect 100, I become this. I have become a Daitya. Daitya means now the anger is so crystallized in me, it's going to be very, very difficult to work on it. It's going to be very difficult. Supposing here would be different kinds of angels, Yaksha, Kinar, Gandharva, Vasu, Maruta, Aditya, Deva, different classes, right? If we are rising up, there are different classes up, and if we are falling, there are different classes down. Okay, now let's go a little deeper into this. Now, supposing we bring this all to the physical level. To the physical level. Supposing if I collect 100, I get a disease called cancer. Can you see my past and future? At 86, I am only 14 away from this disease. It is there. If somebody is sitting on the top of the mountain, he knows my car is going in this direction. He knows that from here he's going to reach this 100th century soon. He's going to reach. Get it? So, now supposing at this point, because my senses are only related to this one line of time, this line of time. At this point, if I could see that, okay, I already have 86, if at 100 I am going to get cancer, will I get angry on that person? No way I'll get angry on that. Everything in my life will change. That very awareness will make. But we don't know. We don't know what we are doing. We get irritated every day. We get angry every day, and then we cry. See, this is the line of time I am moving on. This is the line of time I am moving on. Right? So here, there is some deadly incident which is going to happen to me. It could be a form of either in an accident or something will happen which is going to bring a lot of pain and suffering in my life. That incident is here, it's lying here. Now the 87 is the intensity. This, for me, from this line to touch this, how much do I need? 100. I'm moving. This is my destiny. I'm moving on this destiny. And the minute I give it out to him, I throw it out on him, that you have treated me badly, you have insulted me, I have increased this. I'm moving closer and closer to this destiny. At this point, it will touch this. The intensity will touch it. I have invited that incident in my life. Nothing happens of our life without any invitation. Nothing happens. So they are saying, Krishna, your pad, your position is above both these times. You are above both these times. You are viewing both these times. If we want to change anything in our lives, we have to change it in this time, not in this time. In this time, all that we do is in this time. Whether we make factories, whether we gather money, whether we get fame, whatever we do, whether we give donations, we build buildings, everything is in this time. It has nothing to do with our growth. Right?
What happens then if a child is born and has cancer? When the child is born, for example, and has a disease process.
All according to law.
When they haven't even gone on this line of time.
Okay, now what will happen? Let's see. How is this time? Does this time body die with death? No. It does not die with death. It does not die with death. What happens to the time body at death? I think I talked about it last year. Yeah, last year. What happens?
It's carried over into the next person.
What happens to the time body at death?
Gets carried over to a next life.
How?
Forms a bubble.
Do all these 100 get carried over? What happens?
Essence.
Essence. The essence. These 100 become? These 100 become? Essence. What does it mean? These 100, they drip into one drop. Like I gather so many flowers and make one drop of perfume. All the 100 become a part of my essence as one drop. Now if that drop is very powerful, then it can be carried on to the child is born and so many deformities happen. There's still one more thing, because it's very difficult for us to judge. Like I said, we cannot see that line of time. Supposing in this life I have done some practices which are not right. Supposing. How do I be free of it? How do I be free of it?
Forgiving yourself.
So how? Supposing I have risen a little and I am able to read people's thoughts. Okay? Now I misuse that. Misuse that means I've formed a very terrible inner crystallization. It's not going to dissolve easily. It's not going to dissolve easily. Right? People with very powerful negative crystallization, they doesn't dissolve easily. So I've created a different kind of ego. I'm a very powerful person. Right? I've created a different kind of ego. How am I going to dissolve it? Only through the fire of suffering. The fire of suffering. Many of these so-called defects which we call, especially in retarded children, because when you, some of these retarded children, when you look at their eyes are not of this world. They are of a very high level of consciousness. A very high level of consciousness. So, they have consciously asked for this. They have consciously asked for this to dissolve something which they have done. So that is a different thing. But in most cases we'll say that the essence, there was something very powerful in the essence which created that deformity.
So basically you carry from your past life.
The essence does not die at birth. The essence,
So through that you carry.
right, the essence looks for a new form. It's going to look, but if nothing has changed in the essence, the new form will still be just be a recurrence of the old. If the essence has grown, then it won't be a recurrence, it will be a reincarnation. It will be a reincarnation. The essence does not die. And that is why we have to change the essence. Because everything acquired in this life is going to die. It's going to go away. My name may be on some building, but it doesn't make any difference. Right? It's going to go away. It's only if I've changed something in that which came at the time of birth. And for that it has to go in some other time. That is why I'm talking about this today. I wanted to repeat it today. So you see how blind we are. How blind we are. We can only see 3 dimensions of space and feel 1 dimension of time. And we are moving in this blind to our time body. We are totally blind to all the experiences which we have accumulated on the path. And those experiences are now. They are every moment. Every moment, that which is going to meet the present moment, these experiences are there in the background as a time body. And they don't die with death. They become a part of essence.
When you say person who's asked for suffering, okay, can you just say when? I just kind of this.
Supposing I have done something which I feel now I want to dissolve it. Prayashchit. Repentance, not guilt. Not guilt. I want to burn it away. So I need heat for that. I need heat for that. So I may ask for some deformity in my next life.
At what point is this happening?
At only the point where I awaken from what I'm doing. Because as long as I'm doing it, I'm not aware that I'm doing it. I'm enjoying doing it. I'm getting some negative enjoyment out of doing it. Controlling people or whatever. So owing to our relation to time, we only see a small part of time. I have not yet talked of another 6th dimension, 3-dimensional space, 3-dimensional time. I'm not talking about another dimension. Only 2 dimensions of time. Right? The present moment is a cross section of time. This and this. So every present moment we can touch a higher dimension because it is a cross section, it is a cross road. But because of our consciousness, we have not trained our consciousness. Like I was saying yesterday, youth workshop, but all the youth, you look in their eyes, they are daydreaming all the time. They are not there. Not there. What is the use of all these degrees and being such an expert at your profession, and if in the moment you can't be there, if in one moment you can't hold one moment. And this is the story with all schooling everywhere.
How does one then teach a child to be present in that moment if they're dreaming so much?
You have to give different exercises. The 2 educations, one which you give to the child, and one the child has come with something, you allow that to flower. And it's so. I was reading today, I don't know where, somebody saying, I send my son to this class and then I send him to that class and this class and that class. You want them to acquire everything. Whether he learns karate, whether he learns tennis, whether he learns football, whether he learns this, whether he learns that, in the end it's all in this line of time. You have to teach him how to enter into another dimension of time. That is important. And that can only come with one-pointed attention. As long as the attention is wandering, it is not possible. It is this training which is so important. What is the point if you're looking at a class of children and all their eyes are dreaming? What is the point? What have we done to our children? And it's so simple. To be in the present moment. It takes years of practice. Arjuna tells Krishna, it's easier to tame the wind than to tame this mind. We are never in contact with this speeding present moment. And still we say all existence is in the present moment. Our senses relate to the present moment, but our consciousness is not powerful enough to relate to it. We are not conscious in this present moment. It is too small, too quick to be conscious. Actually, our consciousness is a very weak, jumbled up thing, composed of an imaginary past and an anticipated future. By memory and imagination, we are always this side or this side, and life is coming in every moment. So we are never really in the external world of the senses. The senses are registering the external world, but at the time of their registering, we are always somewhere else. We are not there. Unless it has enough excitement to hold our interest. Something very exciting is going to happen. We are going to close a big deal, or it's a big good movie or something. Then it holds our interest. For that moment we are there. So the mind, the senses, they register and render the world to the mind as a series of photographs. The mind relates frame to space and time, but all these photographs for us are dead. They've happened in the past. They've happened in the past. Now, if we can understand that each present moment is a cross section, one is life moving from past to future, and one something moving from higher to lower. If we can understand that, then we can try to feel this higher, try to sense this higher. And it is always at right angles to the present moment. So, in a moment when we stretch the present moment, because it cannot be stretched to the next moment, but if we can stretch the present moment, consciously pull the present moment, right? Then we enter into, it stretches into this other dimension of time called the fifth dimension of time. One of the experiments which I used to do a lot was, whenever people are speaking, I would not bother about what they were saying. I would just let a small mild consciousness understand what I have to do. I would try to sense the vibrations in the words. Try to sense the vibrations in the words. So it didn't matter to me whether somebody was insulting me or what they were, because it didn't make any difference. I was always sensing the vibrations in the words. So I was never trying to interpret what they were saying. And I practiced this for many, many years. And I still practice it. Right? Now what will happen is that the minute the other person stops talking, I would stretch the dying tone. Supposing I'm saying the dying tone, no, then I would stretch the last word, no, I would stretch it. Time would move in, but in that moment of stretching, I would be in some other time. It would be a conscious effort. And I kept on practicing this. Even now when I'm speaking, when I pause, I try to stretch the last tone. And in that stretching, a new feeling enters into that present moment. If we can stretch, anything we can stretch. We can stretch the taste of a chocolate. Right? We can stretch a piece of music. We can stretch anything. And what difference does it make if somebody is insulting us? What difference does it make? He is giving out vibrations. Those vibrations contain energy. Just move with that energy. Then it doesn't matter what he's saying. The mind is not interpreting what he's saying. And suddenly there's a merging with that energy. And there's a stretching of that energy. The linear time is moving moment to moment, but you have paused as if you have stopped somewhere. And in that stopping, you are moving into another dimension of time. You're stretching it. So eternity is there every moment. It's at right angles to time. Only we have to make a conscious effort to enter into it. It can be done with psychedelic drugs. Free of charge. But then the effect of the drug diminishes. It follows the law of diminishing marginal returns. Right? So next time I'll have to take a little more, and one day some brain cell is going to pop off like this. It's called OD. Now sometimes we feel this eternity. When we are listening to music, sometimes we feel as if something has been pulled, and we feel that suddenly time has stopped and we are entering into another dimension of time. We have to consciously do this. So man has a being composed of two things, essence and personality. Personality is in one dimension of time, essence is in another dimension of time. Now if I can feel this eternity, stretch this eternity, I have a new feeling of myself. I have a new feeling of myself. And this feeling of self we will call as now. Right? We will call as now. So now there are two things moving at the same time. One is the present moment registered by the senses, and one, the feeling of eternity registered by my heart. Two things moving at the same time. Two registrations at the same time. It's a double registration. And one, I am conscious of them both. So there will be three things. What will happen? Each moment, each present moment will give a feeling of I now. And this has nothing to do with that book, The Power of Now. So don't mix it up. I've not even read the book. So it will give a feeling of I now. It's an upliftment. Nothing has changed. The mathematics of the present moment has not changed. Moment, moment, moment. But a feeling of I now. And where does this now come from? It comes from some other dimension of time. It's coming from some other dimension of time. What is the feeling now in each moment? What is the feeling now in each moment? In each moment, what are we feeling now? If I am bored, I feel, my feeling of I is boredom. If I am depressed, my feeling of I is depression. You get it? If I am angry, my feeling of I is anger. If I am sad, my feeling of I is sad. Get it? If I am excited, my feeling of I is excited. That is, I and excitement are sleeping together. It's a kind of prostitution. The I has been hypnotized by excitement. The I has been hypnotized by depression. The I has identified with happiness, sadness. So, this feeling of I of ours keeps changing every moment. There is no one permanent I in us, even though we sign the check with the same name every time. The signature never changes. But there is no one permanent I. Every moment the feeling of I changes. Now when we are observing ourselves in the present moment, we are observing the anger. So I is separated from anger. I is not feeling anger. I is observing anger. I is saying I am watching the anger. And the feeling of I will not change. And that feeling of I, we will say, we will call it as now. I watching anger now. I am having a bath now. There's a feeling of having a bath, but now. Suddenly everything changes in our life. We have separated from life. We have moved into another dimension. Tad pada ambujam. Your pada are above the flowing water of life. Ambujam, the flowing water. The lotus has grown out of the water. Your feet are above the flowing water of life. Something in us has separated from life. It is not a part of this. So each moment will change. The feeling of now will not change. It is eternal. It is eternity. It's a different feeling from this hurrying, anxious time in which we all live. It's something with the emotional center, as if we've fallen in love. When we've fallen in love, time stops, time is stretched. Fallen in love, love with life. Not excited by life, not hypnotized by life. Fallen in love with life. Then the Guru is life. Every moment, life in front of you is the Guru. The Guru is expanded. He doesn't remain a person any longer. So there are two feelings, a static feeling and a kinetic feeling. Something moving and something stable at the same time. Our usual feeling of self is whatever thought or emotion we are in at that time. The thought and I have become one. Supposing your son is in doubt or something about his exams or something, what will you tell him? What will you tell him? Don't worry, I am there. What will you say? I am there. Don't worry, I am there. Huh? आप तो है ही. So you just visualize something in each moment of life from within is saying, I am there. मैं हूं ना. Picture do नाम. प्रियंका चोपड़ा नहीं ना. दिखते कि तो प्रियंका चोपड़ा. So being there. Can you see how life changes? What will change? See, it's your response. When you tell your son or your daughter or whoever, I am there, what feeling? You get a feeling of responsibility. There is that feeling that I am responsible. Right? She says that, okay, tomorrow I have to pay these fees, and you give her the money to pay the fees, then you get a feeling that you are responsible. Similarly, when this presence comes and is observing life, moment to moment, it is telling you, I am there. What will change? What will change? What will change? The reaction will change to response. There will be a response which will come out of responsibility. The inner responsibility, the reaction will change to a you will not be able to react now. There's no way you can react. Every moment you will act out of responsibility. There will be a response to life. You will respond to the present moment, to the freshness of the moment. There will be no past or future contaminating that moment. Because you are responding to it. Each moment the feeling of I is ever virgin.
So if you are reacting to it, then you would be scolding him. If you are reacting to it, then you'll be scolding him. But if you are responsive, it's a different. That's where the difference is.
Yes. And that response may tell you to scold him a little. May tell you to scold him a little. But it will be right action. It won't be reactive action. In Krishnamurti's words, right action. There will be a feeling of responsibility. Each moment. Responsibility of living. The responsibility of living. Each moment. Now, from feeling ourselves, we are now feeling ourselves like we feel our lover. We are feeling ourselves. Where will we go? From this small feeling of ourselves, which will slowly intensify. Each moment to moment it will intensify. Where will we go? We will go from feeling ourselves to knowing ourselves. Feeling ourselves to knowing. Now we are moving on a journey in a different dimension of time. We are opening up into a time body where suddenly we will know all the experiences we have gathered. So we will know in this present moment how much of bank balance we are coming to this present moment with, and whether what we want to do with that bank balance. Whether we want to reduce it and rise further up. Just now we don't know ourselves. We don't know ourselves. We only know that person who was given a name, who has done everything, and that also we don't know properly. Half of it is forgotten. studied here, this here, went to school here, etc., etc. That's all we know. But we don't know what is behind. What experiences has that person gathered? And how to change those experiences, that backlog of experiences. This is called sanskar. Our usual sense of self is so imaginary. If I'm daydreaming, I think I'm some big hero or something. Right? So it's so imaginary. So essence and personality have two different feelings. Personality has a feeling of moving, and essence has a feeling of stop, pause. How will we pause? How will we pause? What technique will we use in pausing? What technique? When we were kids, we used to play statue. Which technique will we use in pausing? Statue. How will we statue? How will we stop? But there will be a whole wave of thoughts coming. Right? You tell your wife statue. Right? But there will be a whole wave of thoughts coming. Whole wave. How will we stop? What technique will we use?
Focus on your breathing.
Statue. What technique? Statue in the body, statue in the mind. How will we stop? How will we stop? We will hold the last thought. We will hold the last thought, and all the other thoughts will come. All the other thoughts will come. She insulted me, last thought, I'll hold it. She insulted me, I'll repeat it. Many thoughts are going to come in the mind. Who does she think she is? I am so good. So many other thoughts will come. It is not moral, it is not this, it is not that. A whole wave of thoughts will come. But I'll hold on to the last thought. She insulted me. And if I can hold for some time, the wave will calm down. And then the process of observation will start. There has to be a statue in the mind. So that
it's awareness. Again, it's
yeah,
awareness.
It's awareness and just holding the last thought. You keep on repeating the last thought. Yeah.
But just with regard to the thought, right? You have to hold the last thought, but then in some of the lectures you've mentioned that those thoughts are not ours. We're picking up thoughts from somewhere else as well. So then which is our thoughts and whose thoughts are we?
No thoughts are ours.
So then where's it coming from?
So
those thoughts.
we've made this last thought ours. We don't want to make the other thoughts ours. We've made this last thought. We've allowed it to come in our house.
So we're not thinking that.
We are thinking that.
Yeah, that's why it's...
We are thinking that, but we are not allowing it to, we are not allowing ourselves to become it. It's like we are standing at our door and somebody is going by. We are not calling him into the house. We are not calling. Supposing, how would I call him in the house? What would it mean? No, what would it mean? What would it mean that I have thought the thought? Very easy. We've been into it. Very easy. What would it mean that I have thought the thought? I will attach a label to it. Like or dislike. The minute I attach a label to it, I have called the guest in my home. I have called the guest in my home. But if I don't attach a label to it, that is why I am holding the last thought, because he is already in the home. I am holding the last thought. And the others are passing by. I am not bothering whether they are good or bad. I am just letting them to go by. Right? But the minute I say, nay, it's better to put her in a place because tomorrow she is going to do this with somebody else, and then I've already judged the thought, and it's right. Then it becomes a part of me. Then I have thought the thought. So thoughts will come. But if I judge the thought, if there's some label attached to the thought, then the thought becomes our guest. And then there's somebody else's thoughts. The mind is a machine to make thoughts. The mind is a machine to make thoughts. Right? We are observing the thoughts. And the observer is impartial. Right? The minute he attaches a label. And this is very difficult in the beginning because all this happens so automatically. And the minute we attach a label, we have identified with the thought. We have become asleep in this dimension of time called the fourth dimension. So in that extended dimension, inaccessible to our senses, lies our whole experiential life. All the experiences lie in that dimension of time. Now, the minute we do something in that dimension of time, does it affect the past and the future both? In which way? In which way? Supposing I work with one anger, one irritation, one feeling of jealousy, one negative emotion I work with, does it change everything in my time body, in my experiential body? Does it change everything? Has to. It has to, because the whole body will vibrate. In that one change, everything will change. My tomorrow will change, my yesterday will also change. Can you see that I got angry on you yesterday, but today I changed it. That very change now changes yesterday. But if I come and say sorry and get angry again tomorrow, then nothing has changed. But in that changing the now, I change not only tomorrow, but I change yesterday, because yesterday is now. In that experiential body. This is very difficult to understand this. I not only change my future, but I change my past also. Why? How? Can we see the future as nothing but a repetition of the past? The future as nothing but a repetition of every day is just a recurrence of yesterday. Nothing happens in our lives. Can we see this? That today all the emotions I am living from morning to evening are the same thing which I lived yesterday and the day before, and the day events change, people change, scenery changes. I go for a holiday, I go on top of the mountain, I go here. But in the end, the thing which is going on inside, nothing changes. It is the same thing which keeps on repeating. Right? Here I get angry in the office, there I get angry on the coolie. Same thing, nothing changes. Nothing changes. Here the tea is cold, there the hotel service is not good. Every day is just a so there's nothing like future in our lives. It's just the past moving ahead in momentum. And if the past changes, the future changes. We have to understand this. All this that I have gathered is now in this present moment. And by changing that one anger, the whole balance sheet has changed. The past has changed and the past cannot recur now in the future. Something new will come to meet me in life. Some new emotion, some new understanding. The events of life may be the same, but I'll look at the same wife, but a new understanding will come in. The wife becomes the guru. Everything we do now affects the past as well as the future. Everything changes. One act of consciousness Not identifying changes both the past and future. Just one small act of consciousness. Our relation to people will change. Can you see that at that moment when I got angry on her, in that past 1 week ago or 1 year ago, that anger has changed. Will she change also? Because our lines of time are connected. Our lines of time are connected. We don't meet by coincidence. Something brings us together. So, by one person changing, time is a web. It is not just, it is a three-dimensional web. And if one thing changes here, all the connections change everywhere. If I had not been able to change at a certain point, maybe we would have never met. Our lines of time would never have connected. But something happened in my life. So many old connections dropped off and new connections started forming. So this one simple change changes everything. But we cannot see time as a living thing. We see time as something which we keep in the photographic album and we look at. But when we are able to just touch this dimension of time, suddenly everything which we have done in the past is living in the now. It's throbbing in the now. Living time. It will change our past, but it will change other people's past too, because we are connected. And of course, this is very, very difficult to grasp. But our thinking is sensual. We don't have this two-dimensional, three-dimensional thinking. Our thinking is like an ant only experiences one dimension of space and moves in a straight line. Our thinking moves in a straight line. We can't think anything outside of that straight line. We have to develop a different psychological way of thinking, away from this sensual thinking, which is not based upon the evidence of the senses. Old dead connections will open up. As if we go for a bypass and the doctor puts one new artery somewhere, so where blood was not flowing, it starts flowing again. Similarly, in the time body where things were blocked in the past, suddenly everything will start flowing. The whole time body will become alive again. Our past will become alive. Just imagine if our senses could register the past and the future. Then we would believe in it. Otherwise, we don't believe in it. For us, any idea of past life now is nonsense. But it is nonsense. It's beyond the senses. But as long as we enjoy being negative in life, as long as our feeling of I becomes powerful only when I can get angry on somebody or give it back to somebody or get irritated or this all is just a distant dream. We have to be free of negativity. So we have two futures, a vertical future and a horizontal future. It is in our hands. If the vertical future changes, the horizontal will change. The events in life will change. The people who come to meet us will change. Everything will change. Now, as we move higher, we will see the life of others as totally different. Then our whole idea of punishment will change. How will it change? The whole idea of punishment will change. How will it change? Supposing somebody has injured us or somebody has done something bad to us, then we say he has to be punished. Now how will our idea of punishment change? The whole concept of punishment.
We will learn to forgive.
No. In view of this, in view of this, that 86 to 87 to 100. He is going to get to the 100, so he is going to, that very 86 becoming 87 is punishment, or is it not punishment? It is punishment. He is getting deeper and deeper into the prison of his own experiences. Of his own experiences. He has fallen. There is no need for any outward punishment. Outward punishment is needed for society to remain in place. But it has nothing to do with spirituality. The very act, in the committing of the act, the punishment is there. And we will see that because we have risen a little. We'll say, he's committing this act, he's punishing himself only.
Does that also work that you won't get to the 100? If you forgive him, you don't get to the 100.
Yeah. Without forgiveness, this is not possible. Unless we have reached a state where we forgive. But again, in forgiving, we cannot forgive. Forgiving is a state. If we forgive, again the ego becomes powerful. Right? So we cannot forgive. Forgiving happens, irrespective of whatever it is, forgiving just happens. So, then what will happen? It doesn't matter what he has said to us, how many words he has used, what kind of languages he has used, because in that very saying he is getting bound by life. There is no need for any other revenge, there is no need for any other punishment. Then what will happen? Because you can see this from a mountain top and you're seeing somebody, instead of climbing the mountain, he is falling lower. Compassion will come in. Compassion will come in. You feel a different state. So it is our choice whether we want to rise or fall. This is the free will we have. We think the free will is that we shape our destiny by willpower. That only increases the ego. So the only free will we have now is to change the present moment. And in that changing of the present moment, our destiny changes. And we change, and we change, what we invite changes. Everything changes. So all life is now. Patanjali has a beautiful sutra, Atit Anagata Swarupta Asti. The past and the future exist in the now. Atita Anagata Swarupta Asti. Dharmanam Ardhva Veda. The time form seen is the result of some characteristics which have developed. Something was hidden in the unconscious, it has come into the conscious, and you see a time form. But otherwise everything is already still lying in the unconscious. And it can spring out at any time. It is now. It is now. So by hard work on ourselves, this is called sadhana, tapa, everything changes. Our feeling of what we are now changes. Then we can never take on another feeling again. We can never wear other clothes again. I can't wear the clothes of anger again. I can't wear the clothes of jealousy again. Then it is always I am in this feeling of myself which is now. So a small act of consciousness will vibrate through our whole being. It will change everything for us. The past can't be changed by guilt and sad regrets. It's not possible. So we can re-enter our lives and change what happened 30 years ago, 40 years ago. All those lines of time we can change. When we practice self-observation, we are watching passing time. Then we are not a part of, and death is in passing time. It is not in observing time. But This feeling, this new feeling of self will take time to come. It will come with a lot of practice. Then we won't say I to every thought, every whim. We won't say I. We say this is not me. I am not this. It is happening to it. I am watching it. From self-observation, we will then move into this feeling of now, into a deeper and deeper state of the feeling of now. This will be the real I, the feeling of where this feeling is coming from. We'll climb the ladder, right? And that climbing of ladder is what we call as self-remembering, Atma Smaran. We will move to where the source is. Our personality has been created by life. And life wants us to identify with the personality. That is life, that's why it's created it. But if we have a feeling of ourselves, then we have separated from life. But at present, our feeling of I is the feeling of power, prominence, fame, being heard. These are all the feelings of I we have. Right? Slowly this will change from feel to a feeling of now. The hypnotism of life will break. Just now the problem is we don't realize that we are hypnotized by life. All of us think we are awake. That's the problem. Right? As consciousness expands, each present moment will expand. Once my teacher was teaching me how to see into a crystal ball. So then we would put the ball like this, crystal ball, and he told me that you concentrate on one spot. Now the ball is a plain surface. But if you concentrate on any one spot on the crystal ball, a sort of window forms there. It is not there, but because of our observation, because we are focusing attention on the crystal ball, a sort of window forms there. It's like a dot. And as we concentrate, the dot starts expanding. The dot starts expanding. As he taught me, at one point, the dot started expanding. At one point, I could see that the dot had grown bigger than the whole room we were in. Both he and I were in the crystal ball. Similarly, the present moment will expand. And it will expand, it will contain all our past and all our future in the now. Atita anagata swarupta asti. It will expand. The present moment will expand. Suddenly, everything that we are, what we are, Atma Smaran, what we are, is in that present moment. So our origin is not in linear time. We feel somewhere man came 1 million BC or something, Adam must have come or Eve must have come. Adam and Eve are now, in this moment. But this can only be experienced if essence grows. If essence recurs, then nothing can change. Every moment in life is a struggle between personality and essence. The personality has to become passive and the essence has to become active. Then what we are will change completely. I'll stop over here. So I just wanted to take this part because the snake represents time, his hoods, and on those hoods Krishna's dancing feet. And the two words used for hood are linear time and expanded time. So I thought I'll just repeat what we had done previously on time. It's very, very important. We must realize that what change we are trying to bring is in a different dimension of time. I'll stop here. Thank you. Jai Shri Krishna. Good night.